Let us now consider the motion, that is accelerating motion of a rotating body in the vertical direction. Okay, we have seen how by giving a torque or by applying a force, the body which is rolling attains an angular acceleration, right? Also it attains an linear acceleration. You have just seen that. Now let us see a body which is falling down due to gravity, and this will include all our problems and the situations that we had done while considering a pulley, a string attached to a pulley, and the masses considered in that, in which the mass of the pulley was never taken into consideration, right? The mass we had never taken into consideration. It was always said that the pulley is massless and the string is inextensible. But now when the mass of the pulley will be taken into account, then how this type of problems will be solved, that we will see in just one or two examples. Okay, in this particular part, as you will see that what have I got with me. I think almost all the toys I must have collected for you to show you the demonstrations. Maybe you may be having all these things in your toy box. Okay, but all of this, all the toys have got some physical importance in physics, and that is why I am demonstrating it in this way. Now when we have a wheel, that is a disc. Now this will be considered as a disc with having some mass m, and there is a wire which is wound around it. It has got a string which is wound around it. Now this string is when I release this, okay, when I release this under gravity, this is how it is going to fall. This is how it is going to fall. Now what did you observe in its fall? The same fall, if it had to fall normally just by gravity, it would fall this way, right? The same mass, if had to just fall this way, it will have an acceleration equal to g. But the moment it is falling through, while it is rotating and it is falling, you will see that it is gaining acceleration, but that acceleration is less than the acceleration of g. So you will see in here it is coming more slowly as compared to that. Okay, so when it comes down slowly, the same mass, in the earlier case it came very fast because it was falling, it was like a total mass falling due to gravity, and now in this case it is a rotating mass held by a string in which various different constraints are going to come, resistances are going to come, by which the acceleration in this case will be different. Of course it will be less than g. No acceleration can be higher than g unless and until an extra force is being applied on it. So now let us see how we can solve this, and we can derive certain equations based on the same situation. So here we have this disc, right, and I would say it is wound with a string, and so let me show this string in this particular manner. It is connected to a fixed point, and this has got a mass m and a radius r. It has got a radius r and it has got a mass m. Now this is your center of mass of the disc. It is the center of mass of the disc. Now here again I will try to explain to you, when it is coming down, right, this is creating a tension T, and from the center it will be having a mass mg acting downwards. When we have to take the forces, we will take the forces as we were taking the forces in the linear motion. In the same way we are going to take the forces for this rolling body also. We are, as I have said, we are going to take two equations, one set of equations for linear motion, exactly the way how we were doing for linear motion. Then we will have a set of equations for rotational motions, the one which we just discussed in the few lectures before, and third will be an equation related with linear and rotational. It will be with linear and rotational equations such as V is equal to R omega, A is equal to R alpha, right? So that is how we are going to use, and even equations about torque. Torque is also equal to F into R, right? So slowly, step by step, let us try to analyze. First of all, we can have an FBT of this the way we do an FBT for our normal linear motion. Okay, so just follow that steps. You have to go in the same way how we were doing for the linear motion. So for the linear motion, when we were having a mass m falling down, right? Now because there is a tension T by which it is held, definitely the falling acceleration will not be equal to g. It will be some value a. It will be some value a, right? Now because of this a value, it will have a pseudo force acting opposite to this, that will be MA. As per our rules, that if there is undergoing an acceleration A, there will be an equal and opposite force MA acting upwards, right? So in this case, what will be our first linear equation? Our first linear equation will be FBT, that is mg acting downwards, MA acting upwards, T acting upwards. So it will be T plus MA equal to mg, which is the driving force. Ultimately it is mg is the driving force. What does the driving force has to overcome? It has to overcome and force MA, which is acting opposite because it is accelerating downwards, and plus it has to overcome the tension T, which is there in the string. Okay. Now this tension T, as you can see this, if you still have your yo-yo in one piece in your play box, you can open it up, and of course you can explain to your parents that I am doing this experiment for my 12th standard. So here you can feel a tension in your finger. You can feel the tension in your finger, correct? Second, before I just go ahead with this and I stop playing with this yo-yo, one thing I just wanted to show you, the concept of conservation of energy. Now when I hold this at this level and when I release this, as you can see, it is coming down, again going up, coming down, again going up, slowly, then it becomes quiet. What happens is that as it comes down, when it reaches the bottom, the angular velocity of this has increased to maximum. So it has gained a rotational kinetic energy. When it comes to the end, it cannot go further down. While it was falling down, it was having two energies. One was rotational kinetic energy and one was translational kinetic energy. When it reached the end bottom, right, then when the string was stopped, it was like it cannot go further than that. Then what happened? The translational energy stopped because it could not go further, but it had kinetic energy to its rotational energy was maximum because it had gained, and because of acceleration the omega had reached maximum. Now that energy, where will that go, right? So what happens? And it was going in one particular, the rotation was in one particular direction as it was happening. When it went, when the string end, it stopped, right? The whole energy, like it is that situation is something like a collision. After doing that, it reversed the what you call the rotation. If you will observe in that, when it was falling down, it was rotating in this particular manner. After it reached the end, it started moving up with an opposite, with an anti-clockwise direction, right? That is how it was curling up and going up, because that energy ultimately was going on, no? It had kinetic energy, it had to rotate. So then it started winding it up itself and started going up. But as it was going up, it was going against gravity. So mgh, right, it got exhausted. The kinetic energy got exhausted, and then again it started coming down. Of course, because this was not an ideal situation and it was not in the vacuum, If it was in a vacuum, it would keep doing up and down, up and down, up and down throughout without any loss of energy. But because in this atmosphere, lot of energies are wasted in heat, air resistance, and therefore all the kinetic energy cannot come back into potential energy. Clear? Okay. So let us, coming back to this problem. So we have our first linear equation which we have done after a long time using the linear equation, that is the pseudo force using your FBTs. Okay. Now once you have this will be your first equation. Next, we know that this wheel has gone into rotation. This wheel has gone into rotation. Why it has gone into rotation? As I have said, that you have to identify who is the rotator, and if it is going in rotation, it is going in an increasing angular velocity, correct? Because as it was falling, initially the velocity was 0, and as it came down, it went on increasing. So therefore this disk is having an alpha angular acceleration. If it is having an angular acceleration, then there is some torque which is being applied to it, because of which it has got into that acceleration. So here you will see who is giving this torque. Torque, if it is revolving, rotating around this center of mass O, right? So I can see two forces, one is mg and one is T, but mg in the center will not apply any torque because the perpendicular distance of mg with O is 0, so mg is not applying that torque. Then there is one force, that is T. T is also a force that is being applied at a distance r. So that is that force which is applying torque to this particular disk, which is responsible for giving angular acceleration. So the torque applied is being given by the tension T into the perpendicular distance r. This is the perpendicular distance r, no? This is the perpendicular r. This is responsible for giving a torque T. Got it? So here we have identified the torque provider, and it is the second equation. It is the second equation. Now we also know that torque is in rotational motion. What is torque? Torque is I alpha. What is the equation of torque? Torque is equal to I into alpha. Right? So this is one more equation we have reduced. Now let us write down the relation of I. What is the equation of I? I is of a disk. So of a disk, I is equal to 1/2 m r square. So torque will be equal to 1/2 m r square into alpha. Is that clear? So now equating this fourth equation with your second equation, I will get tension T into R equal to 1/2 mr square into alpha. Your 1 r and 1 r will get cancelled, and this tension T will be equal to 1/2 mr alpha. This will be the value of, this will be some relation of tension T with respect to alpha. Now I can replace this T from this equation, the fifth relation. I will substitute in the first equation. So what I will get 1/2 mr alpha plus ma equal to mg, right? So this is my sixth equation that I have got. See, it is very step by step. If you go, it is very simple. It should just occur to you that yes, this is also one relation, this is also one relation. You have to have n number of relations based on this linear. It is fun, it is good. It's not all that very disturbing. It may appear like a big problem, and no doubt in JEE mains or the higher part of CET, even in NEET, this type of questions are asked, and sometimes students might find it very confusing, or they may find it very complicated. But if you go through a very simple steps like how I am demonstrating, it will definitely not be very difficult for you. Only thing is that you should be able to recall all these equations, that torque is equal to I alpha, torque is equal to force into displacement. Then you have to, this is a normal equation, so we know linear equations, so we are always able to get this. Now after coming over here, now here we have sort of stuck up with two variables, that is alpha and a. Is there any relation between alpha and a? Yes, because this is rolling without slipping. Always this word is used in all the problems. So we have a is equal to r will be the capital R. A will be equal to r alpha. So this is the relation. I can substitute either alpha or r. So I will substitute alpha will be equal to a upon r. So it will be 1/2 m. Alpha will be a upon r into r plus ma equal to mg. So your m is getting cancelled, here r is getting cancelled. So you have a by 2 plus a equal to g, and this would be 3 by 2 equal to g. So you will have a equal to 2g upon 3. So this is the acceleration by which this pulley is going to come down. But have you realized the whole journey that we have gone through? And this is the journey that you have to understand and you have to use when we are going to use rotational motion. And this fall of this wheel, which is tied to a string, right, where the mass of the disc is also considered. So these are the steps that we have to go through to find the value of a. Now I have found the value of a, but you can always find the value the way you want, or depending upon how the problem or what type of a problem it is, and you can try to solve the problems that way. Okay, so please make a note of this. Here we have got another situation. You might find this situation very familiar because we had done this many a times in our linear motions in Newton's NLM, right? In the laws of motion we had done this problems of pulleys quite a lot. Now again here we are going to have, but here there is one difference, that other than mass m1 and m2, now this pulley also has got a mass m having a radius r. Initially in those times, I mean in those problems, we never considered the mass of the pulley, neither we considered the radius of that particular pulley. It was just that it was going through this, and in that case we used to give this as a tension T over here and tension T over here, you remember, in that case. But now because the pulley has got a mass m, this would be tension T1 and this would be tension T2. Remember and see the difference that what we have doing over here. In this particular case, the tension in both the cases will not be the same, because now this particular pulley has developed an inertia. The axis of inertia is around this axis. It is perpendicular to this axis. That will be the axis of rotation of this pulley, right? Assuming that m1 is greater than m2, so definitely this is going to fall down with an acceleration a. It is going to come down with an acceleration a. Because the string is inextensible, right, this body will also have an acceleration a. This is going to be same because it goes through a distance, suppose L. So this is going to go up also with a distance L. The tensions in both the strings will be different, but the displacement will be the same, and therefore the acceleration also will be the same. See, those things which are different and those things which are similar, that is what you have to understand in this type of problems. Of course, what I am discussing is slightly advanced type of problem for CET and JEE Mains, right? But I believe the way we are going through, you are able to understand and you should be able to write down this type of equations. Okay, so if an acceleration is in this particular direction, then definitely you will have pseudo force acting in this direction, that will be m1a. Then you will have gravitational force, that is m1g, acting downwards, right? So we have all the forces which are acting on this particular mass. Similarly, let us look at this. If this A is in this particular way, the accelerating force m2a will be in this direction, and there will be m2g acting down from this particular body in this direction. So what are the equations that we are going to write down for this? So it will be T1 plus m1a, T1 plus m1a equal to m1g. This will be my first equation. Same equation like we used to write down in our linear equation, right? So in that there is no change. So in that you need not to consider anything about rotational motion. Only one change, the tension T will not be same in both the case. We are having a separate tension T's. Now look at this equation, second equation, and that is going to be m2a plus m2g is equal to T2. That would be my second equation. This second equation will be for this particular mass. Now once I have done this, now there has to be, I have to now locate, now this part is done. Now this pulley, while it is rotating, it is going through this. When this is coming down, this is going up. So this pulley is going to accelerate in this direction. This is going to have an acceleration in this direction. Initially the pulley would be at rest, and the moment if I leave this, as it starts coming down, so this pulley will start gaining alpha, that is angular acceleration. So again we have to ask ourselves, if the pulley is rotating, someone is providing a torque. Now here, who is providing a torque? Here I can see the pulley here is resting on a particular axis, constraint. This pulley is not moving like in our previous case. So here the torque provider is only two forces, T1 and T2, right? And both of them are in this particular direction. So how would you consider the torques that is going to be applied to this particular pulley? Now if you look at the FBT of this pulley, so here you will see that when this is coming down, right, if I break this string, so this tension T would be in this direction. If I break here, no, for FBT, when you break, so the from the other end, the direction of force always changes while making FBT. So this T1 is pulling it in this direction and giving it a torque T1, giving it a torque. Let us say the torque given by it is force T1 into displacement into the perpendicular distance r. So this force into r is giving it a torque. But is it the case that at this side it does not have any other force? Well, it has. So there is one more force which is also pulling it on this side. That will be T2. If you look at the FBT of these forces, so there is also one T2 which is, see this T2 also, if I take then FBT of this, you know, no, FBT, when we cut that, so one will be T2 pulling on this side, the other will be, is always shown in the opposite direction. I hope you remember the method of having an FBTs. Okay, so here also it is pulling, here also it is pulling, but this pull is greater than this pull. So the total torque, are you getting me? This is also providing a torque T1. So T1 is provided by torque T1 into R, and torque T2 is provided by this, that is T2 into R. Is both the torque helping it to accelerate? No, this is accelerating and this torque is trying to deaccelerate. So the resultant torque T would be this powerful torque T1 into R minus this weak torque T2 into R, which is trying to pull it in the other. No, this is making it turn into clockwise direction, and this is pulling it into anti-clockwise direction, and still it is the pulley is rotating, which means this is a powerful torque which is overcoming this torque. Right? So the pulley is rotating with a resultant torque, and the resultant torque here is given in this. So it is going to be R, that is T1 minus T2. This is the difference of the tension is provided by this particular torque. You got this? The most difficult part in this problem is understanding the torque and who is providing that torque. Okay, now okay, now once you get this particular equation, let us see, this is my third equation for the torque. Now once the torque equation is given, we have to find the relation of torque in rotational motion. So relation of torque in rotational motion is given as torque is equal to I into alpha. And what is I for this? Is equal to 1/2 mr square. Here we have taken the mass m, so it will be 1/2 m r square, right? This will be my moment of inertia for the pulley having a mass m and radius r. So the torque T would be given as 1/2 mr square into alpha. Okay, now you can equate this torque with this torque, that is equation 4 with equation 1. So this will give me r T1 minus T2. It will give me r T1 minus T2. So your 1 r and 1 r will get cancelled. So I can write down T1 minus T2 is equal to 1/2 mr alpha. This would be my fifth equation. Is that clear? Now let us come back to this equation. So here we have T1 plus M1A is equal to M1G. I can rewrite this as T1 equal to M1G minus M1A. This is the first equation 1A. You know, many of the books and many professors try to describe T1 in this direction, right? But sometimes it becomes confusing whether this minus this or this minus this. So always you write the equations in the positive manner and then you can rearrange it in this particular way. Okay. So if this is T1 and this is the equation of T2 and we want to find T1 minus T2. So T1 minus T2 we will get over here, T1 minus T2 is equal to M1G minus M1A minus M2A plus M2G. Sorry, it is minus, right? So my T2 minus, so this also will be minus because T1 minus T2, correct? So this is going to be my equation number 6. This is going to be my equation number 6. Now equating equation number 5 and 6, because both of them are T1 minus T2, I will have 1/2 mr alpha, 1/2 mr alpha, that will be equal to, I can use this as G M1 minus M2, right, minus A M1 plus M2. Okay, and which will be equal to 1/2 mr alpha, and alpha also can be now written as A equal to R alpha, or alpha is equal to A upon R. So it will be R means we have to use that capital R now. So it will be 1/2 mr into A upon R equal to G M1 minus M2 minus A M1 plus M2, right? So here we are getting this equation that A, then you can rearrange the value of A. I will just rewrite over here. So here what do we have? M into A upon 2. So we have M into A upon 2 equal to G M1 minus M2 minus A M1 plus M2. I can take this term over here. So that is MA upon 2 plus A M1 plus M2 equal to G m1 minus m2. So you can have a in common, m upon 2 plus m1 plus m2 equal to g m1 minus m2. Okay, so here you can go on reducing this in terms of a, whatever they have asked, and you can, all the three masses are given, g is known, you can find the acceleration of the system A, right, in terms of m1 m2 small m and the radius of the pulley. But here the radius of the pulley does not matter, but it has to be used for solving these equations, right. So is this clear? So this is about acceleration of circular motion. Let us look at certain problems in which we will try to understand this more clearly. Okay, so till then, take a note of this and see how the steps have been used and how to go about solving this combination of linear and rotational motion problems. Fine. Okay.